¿Qué es el color? ¿En qué parte de nuestra memoria habita? Propongo vivir el presente a través del color, como una experiencia única y absoluta. Crear un acontecimiento inédito. De repente que aparezca una masa de color transparente frente a ti en el espacio, eso no existe. Puede que lo puedes imaginar, lo puedes soñar, pero que sea presente, eso crea un punto de partida para tu imaginación y para el espíritu.
Es impresionante la cantidad de proyectos que se le puede ocurrir al día.
Él, cuando tiene tiempo, se sienta y se pone a dibujar y se inventa el futuro.
These are separated entirely from the matter.
Yeah, definitely.
And so he's perceiving this in a totally different way.
Yeah.
And we think of it naturally, right?
Yeah.
But he has this like intuitive understanding.
Es posible, es posible.
¿Es posible? Al menos no está súper imposible.
Lo idóneo sería que no hubiese soporte y no hubiese fuente de luz. Eso solamente se podría hacer con los campos magnéticos.
A priori todo se puede hacer. No es nada que vaya contra las leyes de la física, pero todavía no he visto nada que realmente diga sí, puede funcionar. Puede que dentro de 2 semanas nos llamen y tengan como un pequeño prototipo y entonces sí que sería para mí una prueba de que podría funcionar eventualmente.
Que uno se parara el uno vez viera un espectáculo sobre el seno con ese acontecimiento cromático efímero e inmaterial. Esa sería pues la culminación de mi discurso.
Qué maravilla.
Welcome to Cine Latino en Casa, Cine Latino at Home, this festival that runs October 15th to the 22nd, a unique program of the newest award-winning Spanish and Portuguese language films from around the world, presented by the MSP Film Society, the regional exhibitor of international independent cinema since 1963, the presenters of the International Film Festival in the spring, and it's going to be the 40th anniversary in 2021, and a year-round programming with the films from all over the world. We know you will enjoy the show, available virtually this year at mspfilm.org, and hope you can spread the word. In this year of great change and uncertainty, your engagement is more important than ever. Providing critical support to your favorite nonprofit arts organization and to the artists, communities, and cultures reflected in the stories told. Again, thank you, obrigado, muchas gracias. And now we start this amazing conversation with the people behind one of the best documentaries of the last few years, Free Color. And there is many guests with us tonight. And the way I like to do this, because I feel you can, say much better, who you are. I'm just going to introduce the fabulous director who gathered all of you behind this documentary. And so welcome first, Alberto Arvelo, and the producer of the film, Gabriela Camejo. Hello, welcome to this conversation.
Thank you very much, Eve. Thank you very much for having us here, all of us here. and it's an honor to be part of the festival. And thanks for of the crew members that are awake now in Paris, in Barcelona, and join us. Thank you very much, guys. It's great to see all of us here together after a long time.
And so the question, the first question is, where are you now? Because we're all from different parts. So where are you broadcasting right now, Alberto?
We are now in Los Angeles, in Pasadena. Yeah, that's exactly where we are, closer to you. Okay, so I'm going to start calling you, respectful to my screen. So sorry, apologies, because I might go from one person to the other. Next, we have Mariana Cruz. Hola, Mariana.
Hello, nice to meet you, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm one of the granddaughters of Cruz-Diez, and I work at the atelier, and I'm here to participate. Thank you.
Where are you based?
I'm currently in Paris.
Okay, very late in Paris right now.
Yes.
Moving to Nascuy, Linares. Hola, Nascuy, bienvenido.
Hola, Hebe. I have to speak in English. My English is not very good, so I don't know if I speak in Spanish.
Puedes hablar en español y yo te traduzco, no hay problema.
Ok, vale, estoy en Barcelona, soy Nascuy Linares, soy el editor y uno de los editores y uno de los compositores de la música de la película. Estoy muy feliz aquí de verlos a todos. Los conozco a todos, aunque no todos me conocen a mí. Y bueno, un saludo para todos.
Nascuy Linares, he's one of the editors and composers of the music of the film. He's right now in Barcelona, and he knows everybody, but somehow not everybody knows him, at least not personally. I love this idea that we can actually put you together, in this pandemic world. Thank you, Nascuy. We know that for you guys it's really late, so thank you for making the extra effort. So now moving to the producer one of the producers of the film, David Azoulay.
That's in mute.
Hello, everybody. Sorry, I was in mute. I'm very happy also to be part of this Q&A here, and thank you for having me. I'm also in Paris, so I'm very glad to be part of this and to see a few faces live and to put the team together. It's very great to be with everybody tonight.
Thank you, Rafael. Bienvenido.
Hola a todos, yo soy Rafael Lacau, colorista y director de postproducción de esta película. Estoy en Venezuela, en Mérida, y muy contento de estar aquí. Igual los vi a todos, les puse color a toditos los que están y no se dieron cuenta, no lo sintieron.
So Rafael is the colorist and chief director of post-production of the film, and he's now in Mérida, Venezuela, and he's very happy to be here. And he also said that he gave all of the people here in the room a little bit of color in post-production, even though they didn't know about that. So thank you, because they look cool, great. Moving to Ana Asenjo, bienvenida.
Hola, muchas gracias. Hi, everyone. I'm now in New York, although I met, of course, Alberto and Gabriela back when I was in LA. I'm very happy to be here, happy to contribute, and looking forward to the discussion.
Excellent. And Ana is one of the scientists who helped Carlos, for whoever has seen the film, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, achieving that very special dream of color with no form. Gabriel, bienvenido, un gusto verte. Welcome, Gabriel.
Realmente, muchas gracias. Thank you so much. I'm Gabriel Cruz, the grandson, and a part of this team. I'm also a producer, so I'm very glad to be here with you, and good to see you all together after more than a year. So thank you so much.
Excellent. Now moving to Spyridon Michalakis. Sorry if I mispronounce your name.
No worries.
Welcome.
Hi, it's great to be here. I am Spyros Michalakis. I have been part of CalTech, where Anna and I also met for about 10 years now. And I work on quantum physics and mathematical physics. And it was a pleasure to be part of this documentary. I'm in LA currently as well, close to the directors and producers.
Thank you. Thank you again for joining us. Gabriela, I would like to hear from you, even if it's, you haven't said anything yet. Gabriela Camejo, bienvenida.
Gracias, Eve. Thank you for having us.
Okay. Seamus Blackley, welcome.
Oh, thank you. It's really incredible to be here with this group of people. I'm really honored to have taken part in this. I'm also a physicist here in Pasadena. I used to work on high energy physics, like particle accelerators, and now I do something called computational holography. And it's very nice to meet all of you. It's very nice to see everyone virtually.
Thank you. Welcome, Adriana. Bienvenida.
Hi, thank you. Also, I'm Adriana Cruz. I'm the daughter of the Carlos Cruz-Diez, and I live in Paris. And I am also the president of the Cruz-Diez Art Foundation. And I'm also very happy and very moved to see all the team and all of you. And thank you for this nice invitation. And it's a pleasure to meet and to see all the person who participated in this beautiful film. Thank you.
Thank you, Adriana. And last but not least, John, bienvenido.
Gracias, hola, ¿cómo están todos? Bueno, les saludo desde Francia también. Estoy en este lugar del océano, en este lado, desde acá. Un saludo caluroso a todos. Yo hice la parte de la cámara y dirección de fotografía, compartido con Beto, con Alberto.
So John is joining us from France. He was one of the cameramen and photographers of the film together with Alberto. And he's also very happy to be joining us. So, well, again, welcome. Thank you so much. Well, I'm Eve Tabachnik. I'm the artistic director of Cine Latino. And it's such a pleasure to, first of all, how long has it been since you've been together, or this is kind of the first time for you to be in the same room? Let's call it room.
Just a question. Did we introduce Fabiana Cruz?
Oh my God. You know what, Fabiana? You moved from where Jesse was there and we were talking before. No, my mistake. Hola, Fabiana. Bienvenida.
Nah, don't worry about it. Hi, my name is Fabiana Cruz, and I'm another of the granddaughters of Carlos Cruz-Diez. I'm a visual music artist, but I'm also part of the Cruz-Diez family team here in the workshop in Paris, and I'm really happy to be here. So don't worry about me. Go ahead.
We were talking with Fabiana right before we started the broadcast, and whoever wants to speak in Spanish. El que quiera hablar en español, yo les traduzco, así que sin ningún problema, no hay problema. Y en el caso ese, les repito la pregunta en español. If you need for me to repeat the question in Spanish, I will do that. And one thing I want to remind the audience that are joining us through Facebook and the website of our festival is that they can submit questions for all of us. Especially for you guys, through the Q&A chat of Facebook. So I was saying, is this the first time you are kind of together in a room since you made a film?
Yeah, I think
Alberto?
I think ever. It's the first time we are all together because we live in different places. So beside, that festival in Palm Springs, I think this is actually the first time we are all together.
Wow.
So it's a unique moment.
Wow. So I'm going to start. I am excited about that. I'm going to start asking you, Alberto, a little bit about the genesis of this project. When did you first meet the master, Carlos, and how the process of making this film start?
Well, as Venezuelan, we all of us, we grew up seeing Carlos Cruz-Diez all around us. I mean, the country it's full of masterpieces by Cruz-Diez. So we, as Venezuelans, it's part of our visual, tradition. And then I had the opportunity to meet him through the family, and I was always fascinated about, a person who is obsessed in this way with color, and who is digging into color into a next level. I think much more than just a genius, an up artist, maestro. He's this sort of, he started this, I would say, unique crusade in art history to really understand color and to take us to color in a different way. I was walking one day with Gabriela in Japan, and we saw a news about Maestro Cruz-Diez, and we said, this is something we have to do. We have to tell the story of this unique human being. And remember, we have had a conversation with Jorge Cruz, and Jorge had a dream of doing a documentary of Maestro Cruz-Diez. In some way, Jorge is the father of this documentary, and bring the energy and brought all of us together to do this. And when actually I think Gabriel and Adriana and the family, this amazing family, this this Flemish workshop, that when they asked Maestro of doing this documentary, he said immediately, of course, let's do this right away. And he was, from the first day to the last day, he was so passionate about the documentary because actually he wanted to be a filmmaker also in some way, and he is a filmmaker in a way. He's creating realities, that he says, that are always alive and changing all the time, which is, it's about time. So it's deeply connected with filmmaking. So that's more or less the origin of this project.
And since talking about this film is definitely, we need to, color is this such a special thing. I love when he says it's pleasure, it's presence, is, it's so many things, and it's almost like eternity when you see some of the pieces, when you feel like you're in that moment, but at the same time you're like in front of something that is bigger than yourself. So I'm going to turn to so many of you, the family of Carlos, and maybe I'm going to start with Adriana, just kind of going seniority first, because one of the things, and we were talking with Fabiana a couple of seconds ago, it was the joy that you could see him, like whenever you see him on camera, and especially in the home movies with all of you, it's sheer joy. It seems like you're always having a good time. Can you tell us a little bit about how was it growing up with Carlos Di Cruz-Diez?
Well, that's true that my father was perhaps not a typical artist. He really was happy and enjoyed to work in art. Since he was in the School of Art, he always said that he could understand the image of the artists who are suffering and creating, with pain. For him, he was always so happy to do what he was doing. He always said that he wasn't working, he was creating and inventing, and it wasn't a work at all. So that's true that, and also he had a very good sense of humor. For him, humor and to laugh a lot was important in our day life. So I think that it was, and for him also to have all his family with him and to share exhibitions, and we often traveled, and I thought that we were on vacation, but we really were going to a city where he had an exhibition, and after we made some tourism, but he wanted to be with us to share all his success or not. I mean, all his adventure, and yes, it was very interesting, and my mom and him knew how to explain to us the importance of his work, and we admire his way to do it, I think.
I can see that you have one of your, collective work behind you. And that's one of the things that I love about him when he said, there is the art is like a collective work. He didn't feel like, the work was just his. It was like really a work of everybody. And so I'm going to turn into Gabriel and ask, because also you're not only a grandson, but, producer of the film, how was this process of being part of the film, being in front, behind the camera, putting together the production? Tell us a little bit about that venture that you accepted with Alberto.
Well, I think it was like a regular day life for us, because the studio, the atelier, since I remember, has been always like very fast. My grandfather's always said that I'm busy, I'm late, I need to finish this work, I need to see all my inventions, I need to create all the things that I have in my head. So it was like another day in the studio, but surrounded with another genius that were, that are here right now, and they were trying to, how I'd say it, to create what my grandfather was thinking. And it's the first time that somebody else different than the family tried to help him to create his dream. And it's beautiful, because I felt like we were opening our studio, our family, and our life to be together and trying to create his dream. And that's why it's very special for us to see all these people together.
Do you remember any funny anecdote of that sort of interaction? This is a question for you or for Alberto. I mean, like a moment where, two geniuses sort of get together.
Well, my grandfather saying to people from CalTech, no, it's not like this. Papi, they're from CalTech. You can't say they are wrong. They're genius. You know what I mean? And I say, no. This is not the right color. It's not like this. I don't want a surface. I don't want. And Anna knows very well that.
Yes, I remember actually it was this first conversation, and I mean, we were talking in Spanish at certain points, and he was shouting like, no. We don't want this, because we're like trying to brainstorm different possibilities, but he was very open to, kind of saying, no, this is not what I want. And I mean, I thought it was very fun. But also, we're not geniuses, so it's fine if we're wrong all the time. It's okay. At least I am. Yeah.
But I love to get into that because, it's almost impossible to talk about his art without really thinking his incredible concept of what he was achieving with the perception of color. Because, of course there is the basis, the support of, their work, but really what he was trying to do was something more, elusive in a way. So I love to hear from Spyridon or Seamus to tell us a little bit about, your take when you were approached, to try to replicate the Aurora Borealis, which I love that, everybody would like to have that in the living room.
Yeah, this was a bit of a crazy request, to be honest, because the mathematics of light basically tell you that light does not exist. It's not like other things, like electrons and protons and things that make up matter. It's more like the highways on top of which these particles with mass exist, right? And so nothing can travel faster than light because it's the highway through which things are connected, right? It's already there. You're just the faster, the smaller your mass, that of an electron, of a neutrino, these small particles, the faster you can travel like a supercar, but you still can never travel faster than the highway on top of which you are. So the question became in my mind, who do I have to find actual geniuses like Anna and Seamus who can actually make this dream come true? Because if light only can be perceived when it interacts with something else, that's the truth, right? In vacuum, you can't, you need some medium, something that light interacts with, changes its state, and then correlates with something on our retinas or whatever it is to tell us that it's there, right? It bounces off of things that are material. And so I thought Anna, who is like a quantum optics expert, would be better at answering this. And obviously also Seamus, who is a world expert in making holograms, right? These make-believe things made up of light, or the reflection of light off of mirrors and things in the air that seem invisible to us. So it was and it was lovely too to hear the maestro say no, this is what I want. And I'm like, oh my goodness, okay, we're gonna bend the laws of physics for you. We will do that.
It was great. Look, one of the things we do, Spiros, when you're working on physics, especially theoretical physics, the way you solve problems is often by analogy, right? You say, okay, I try to write down some theory or try to understand this problem, find a solution to this, to understand what nature is doing, and you can't. And so you find another viewpoint, you find another way to write it down, a different mathematical way to write it down, sometimes even inventing a new mathematics, right? An entirely new dialogue, way to think about a problem. And, as we get older, we see that there's wisdom in all sorts of different views looking at a problem, even in physics, even with optics. There are a lot of understandings of optics that are equally valid in different languages. And the thing that came through to me very clearly was that El Maestro he had a way to think about light that was as insightful and valid as our way of thinking about light with mathematics and physics that came from a different place. This was very moving to me, incredibly interesting, and just so educational to talk to him, inspiring.
Yeah, it's delightful to see in the film the interaction, among you and how, I think Mariana says at some point, he was able to see the future. If it wasn't you, but it was stuck in my mind, this idea that he was a little bit like beyond our time. He was able to maybe foresee something and see it. I mean, we could only imagine, but I think he saw it. And I'm going to turn, to the rest of the family to, give me your a little bit of your take on the maestro and your sort of relationship with your grandfather. Fabiana, Mariana. Yes, you can. Yeah, Mariana.
I wanted to take up on the fact that he was always imagining the future. He was, first of all, as a grandfather, he was always laughing and encouraging us into researching and seeing how things worked and explain things. So it was really a very rich environment to grow up in, and we all kind of worked in the workshop since we were all little. I mean, it sounds like, oh my God, you were in an artist workshop. Actually, it was not really fun because when we were little, he couldn't give us many things to do just in case we would ruin a piece or make something dangerous. So it would be more like, oh, clean this or sort those nails and stuff like that. So it got fun when we were we were older. But it was very rich growing up with him. And it's just later on that I realized, like, oh my God, it was a privilege to grow up in that environment and have access to that information and in an artistic world and have such an open-minded grandfather that allowed us to become what we wanted to become. And regarding this movie, actually, the theme, it permitted him to dream again, if I can say it, because even though he always imagined the future and was always doing sketches, he knew that he wouldn't be able to see everything that he was imagining during his lifetime, because he was like, this technology doesn't exist yet, so it's okay. I'm at peace with that. Okay, oh, it would be great, but I know I won't be here to see it. And when Beto comes and he's like, no, I got this scientist and they're gonna help you and we can do something like 3D, and you, like, even if we cannot make it physically right now, you'll be able to see it virtually. And my grandfather was over the moon. He was like, oh my God, they're gonna be scientists. Maybe I'm gonna be able to see it. Oh my God. Like, oh, who would have thought? To me, it was just an idea, and he kind of had given up on ever seeing it again. So that was very magical for him.
Wow. I have a question from the audience, but I'm going to leave the question because I like the mystery of what's the state of this, journey, trying to liberate color from form, which is, it's like, trying to reach, black hole. I don't know. It's one of those ideas that, you can only think a little bit about. But let's go back just a minute to the film, because I was thinking, it has to be really difficult. I'm now talking with, the colorist and the people who framed the film. And when you work with someone who is so obsessed with color and the perception, of things, and this meticulous, ideas, and everything is just so perfect, how do you work with that? How do you, just, make a movie about that? And what was that? Did he had any input? Was he kind of bossy at any time, or, so Rafael or John or Alberto?
The question to Rafael and John, definitely.
Oh.
Because obviously it was incredibly challenging to do this film about a master of color, and our approach was always from respect. We just want him to talk. It's his voice, it's his message. We will just document that, and I think John did a great job doing that and understanding the poetry behind his mission and his ideas. And at the end, Rafael got all that and transformed it exactly into the right place he wanted. And he was really obsessive. Like, I want that little thing a little bit more red. More red, like 50 times. And but yeah, John, si puedes hablar un poco de la experiencia de fotografiar la película y a Cruz-Diez.
Y el desafío, sobre todo, además de trabajar con el maestro del color, o sea, digo, es como eso, ¿no? Como estar con Velázquez y andar diciéndole qué tiene que hacer, ¿no?
Sí, estaba justamente recordando que en algún momento intentamos con Rafael en la corrección de color, pensábamos alterar los colores y jugar con esto, pero finalmente, bueno, estamos haciendo un documental sobre el artista del color y creo que pensamos que quizás era lo más prudente era no hacer nada y dejar las cosas tranquilas, ¿no? Y dejar que fuese la obra de él la que, o sea, la que esté presente como su color, pues. Y además que es muy difícil representarlo, ¿no? De una manera cinematográfica. Yo creo que la obra de Cruz-Diez es para estar dentro de ella, para percibirla personalmente. Entonces, bueno, no se buscaba una pretensión de hacer la obra a modo cinematográfico.
So John said that at some point it was difficult because, of course, they were trying to feature the master of color, and at some point they thought about playing a little bit with the colors and do something, but they abandoned that idea very quickly, and they decided to sort of play safe and respect. But at the same time, they knew that they were not going to be able to, or they didn't wanted to create the illusion that the cinematic featuring of especially his work, was not going to compare with living. Those are, in general, the work of arts of Carlos are pieces that you have to experience. And of course, it's not the same as shooting the work. So they didn't want that, and they knew that it was not going to be possible. So they respected that. Rafael, alguna?
Bueno, a mí me tocó un título pretencioso, ser colorista del colorista. Pero
let me say that he got this very difficult title of being the colorist of the master of color, which, yeah.
Sí, lo más importante del trabajo de uno es conservar los protagonismos y nunca es el protagonismo del colorista, sino en este caso de la historia. Entonces la responsabilidad era poder ordenar materiales diversos, que sí significaba una gran dificultad, de diferentes cámaras, de diferentes materiales de archivo, y todo eso darle una unidad y una armonía que fuese también acompañando el mood de ese desarrollo que se tenía de si se lograba o no esa expectativa, ¿no? Entonces, en ese sentido, hay muchas veces que el color uno lo colocaba un poco más fuerte, un poco más saturado, más brillante, un poco para generar esas sensaciones. Y donde sí hubo un gran descubrimiento fue en el material de archivo, que en principio era de un solo color, y empezamos a levantar capas originaria del escaneo del material, y empezamos a conseguir una cantidad de colores que significaban épocas, momentos, y que si eran un poco de estos colores caprichosos, ¿no? Unos morados dentro de la propia obra, un morado nuevo, un nuevo color de Cruz-Diez que significaba el tiempo. Y fue muy interesante ese momento para mí. Le dio desde un punto de vista del color, le dio una gran profundidad a la película.
Alberto, I'm going to turn to you for the translation, just because I think probably you will be better to explain this process of actually combining all of these different materials and elements that you use in the film, home videos and archival material.
Yeah, well, Rafa was saying that that it was a very special process for him, and especially because exactly what he says, that we have stock footage from different moments, from different sources, from different cameras, different periods. It was very complex to have just one voice. It was coherent and beautiful, and it was challenging, and it was a lot of work for him. And then something beautiful happened, that he was mentioning, that when we started like correcting the color of some of those archives, he found some colors hidden down there, like a little treasure, and we were surprised about. I mean, some of those, footage were color, actually, not black and white, and it was black and white at the beginning, and it was like, wow, there is color here. There's a little bit of red here and a little bit of blue. It was like this beautiful surprise, color surprise, to enhance, this beautiful message. And I remember, by the way, just a little anecdote, that Rafa called us one day. It's like, wow, look what I found, and he was found in different things, and it was a beautiful and special and unusual and complex process.
Wow. One of the other things that is very distinctive in terms of Carlos, approach to art, and we touch on that, but I'd like to, delve a little bit more, is in this Flemish studio, this idea of going back, in time and creating this space where everybody's part of the creation, but also because, in previous conversations, you are all somehow continuing with this legacy of nurturing, new artists and keeping that sort of spirit of collaboration and discovery alive. So I don't know if Gabriel or Adriana or who wants to take the lead and in telling a little bit, and especially because I'm sure a lot of people who are watching right now, they don't know all of the things that are happening today, even though the maestro passed last year. But this atelier is as alive as always, or probably even, I dare say, even more, with young generations of artists.
Fabi, you can answer as an artist.
Yeah. Actually, I thought that my aunt was gonna answer this one because, she's the one. Her and my dad and are the ones that today can actually attest to the whole history of how the atelier came to be. But my grandfather has always been someone who enjoys being surrounded by people, and not only enjoys being surrounded by people, but he enjoys being surrounded by creative people and people who he can make projects with. And very soon his will to make all these works and to make it as fast as he could, because he wanted to materialize his work. One of his sayings was, ideas alone poison you. You need to materialize them, because if not, they will poison you. So he had this obsession of working and seeing his works physically. And so he invented this way of systematizing the way that he worked, the way that he made his pieces, so other people could help him with the mechanical aspect of making a piece, in order for him to continue creating new things and exploring other methods and mediums and other things. So as Mariana said, when you're a kid and you're sorting through thousands of nails and screws, because that was the exercise, you got to sort out the screws. You're like, oh my God, okay. You don't really realize what you're learning. And then with time, you actually start kind of putting two and two together and connecting the dots of all the little things that you've learned and how it has become a structure. I remember I kind of compare it with Mr. Miyagi when he teaches like
Painting.
karate kid,
Yeah.
like like the cleaning of the thing, and he's like, oh my god, this is so stupid, and then it turns out that it was totally useful. And it's funny because I've worked on enough at the workshop, and I've had other experiences, and it's only when I went somewhere else and I could actually apply the things that I had learned at the workshop that I realized that the dimension of and complexity of the things that I had learned. And also the fact that he has been such an open person to be around, like the mere fact that today I'm an artist as well, I think it's a testimony to how supportive and open he was, because I don't think that would have been something possible with many artists that could have been a bit too imposing maybe to do that. So as a family, that's the experience that I think we all have on how nourishing and privileged that environment was, and thanks to him. And also for the people that work with us, because so many people, wonderful creatives, work with us. They've had the same experience as we've had. So I think that kind of tells the whole
and you're still also nurturing new artists. I believe that's, correct me if I'm wrong, Gabriel, the atelier can be used, or you invite other artists to create or to use that space for their own creations.
Yeah, correct. We are today we are an art studio, not anymore a Cruz-Diez studio, but an art studio, because the only thing that we know to do is art. So we want to keep, doing the same and sharing our knowledge with new generations and trying to, to create their dreams.
And now, since Fabiana, you mentioned that you're an artist yourself. One of the things that you do in the film is to sing, and beautiful. And the other grew, not just the sound, but the music in this film. A lot of which has been done by Nascuy. So I'd like to hear a little bit about, explore the world of the sounds and the music in this film, where also, you had a little bit of help by, someone like Gustavo Dudamel. So how was the creation of the soundtrack and the music? Nascuy, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I'm going to speak in Spanish. It's not
Sí,
a problem.
claro. ¿Entendiste? Sí quedó clara.
Sí, la pregunta, sí. Sí, el proceso fue, bueno, yo tuve la gran suerte de trabajar en la edición también, ¿no? Entonces,
let me translate, so it's not a... So he was very lucky to also work on the editing of the film.
Y a partir de ese momento, pues, se pudo más o menos vislumbrar cómo iba a ser todo el soundtrack, ¿no?
So from that moment, they were able to sort of foresee a little bit how the soundtrack was going to be.
Y bueno, por supuesto necesitaba mucha ayuda porque la película iba a necesitar mucha música.
So I realized that I was going to need a lot of help because the film was going to need a lot of music.
Y nada, el primero que llamamos fue a Dudamel.
And the first one they called was Dudamel.
Es un gran amigo y por supuesto estaba encantadísimo de trabajar en la película.
He is a very good friend, and he was very happy to be able to participate in the film.
Pero también, como te digo, era tanta música y Dudamel no tenía todo el tiempo para componer con nosotros.
But there was a lot of music, and unfortunately, Gustavo didn't have enough time to produce all the music necessary for the film.
Entonces contamos con la participación de tres músicos más, excelentes músicos,
they counted with the help of 3 more musicians, composers.
Bueno, Álvaro Paiva, Devendra Banhart y el hijo del director, Sebastián Arvelo.
¿Y cómo fue un poco el proceso de inclusive de trabajar con varios músicos? ¿Cómo hicieron para conciliar ideas? ¿Les mandaban el material ya filmado y luego componían? How was the process of actually, combining these musicians all together? Did you send the dailies or some of the shots and they compose?
Sí, como te digo, desde el montaje supimos más o menos la estructura musical que iba a tener y el tono que iba a tener todo el documental y se enviaron los fragmentos.
From the moment we were in the editing room, we knew the structure that the film was going to have, so we kind of knew the tone of the film and what we needed.
Y sí, cada quien trabajó su secuencia, ¿no? Su pequeño fragmento que iba a componer, ¿no?
So each musician, composer worked on the fragment that was given to him to work on.
Y quería contar una anécdota maravillosa, ya que están aquí, que de las primeras cosas que aparecieron cuando estábamos editando.
I'd like to tell you about a little anecdote that I don't know if you know about. It's one of the very first things that sort of show up when we were editing.
Era un bello plano de Mariana y Fabiana viendo un tren y era como una especie de traveling back.
So it was a shot of Mariana y Fabiana, the granddaughters, watching like a train, and it was from their backs, like the shot was getting away from them.
Y teníamos esta canción de Devendra Banhart que se llama Sisters y era como estaba hecha para el momento y dijimos esta queda. Eso fue casi de las primeras cosas que se montaron.
And they found this song by ¿cómo se llama el artista?
Devendra Banhart.
Devendra. Oh, it was one of the songs of one of the composers called Sisters, and they knew immediately that was the piece that was needed for that.
Magia pura.
It was just pure magic. And before I open a little bit to some of our questions from the audience, David, a producer is a little bit of the magic behind the scenes, trying to juggle all these great people and coming together. Any anecdotes, any moments where you thought, oh my God, I got into crazy idea?
Yes, well, actually for the production, I really thought of discovering and entering the world of Cruz-Diez and the whole discovering the art, of course, the work of the color, and also the Flemish aspect that everybody mentioned was incredible. To me, it's really wonderful adventure because it's really part of America, Latin America, and also France. I'm really, it's really like open and multicultural aspect, and I thought it was very interesting to be part of that, and Nascuy also for the post-production. I think it was great to work with him, and something you didn't mention, Nascuy, but I thought it was great is also the music part of the editing process, because we had a lot of music in mind, and I thought you really did a great job. Actually, we didn't speak about it afterwards, but to recreate in some part of the movie some kind of interpretation of Satie's, which is a French composer, back in the post-production and reinterpreting this music. which is really great in the movie. And I think it really sums up the different influences and work that came in the project. And I think it's really something about color and you in the discussion, of course, a lot of art confrontation with science, of course, with Seamus, Anna, and Spyridon, but also the music part is very interesting, and I think the global cultural aspect of it is very, very important and universal, and I was really very glad to be part of this project.
And so since we have a little bit of time, I'd like to ask a question that was asked by someone who's watching this, and I left it a little bit for towards the end, because it says, since the movie was shot, has the technology to accomplish Cruz-Diez dream advanced anything? Are we closer to seeing color launch into space like he dreamed of?
Chimo could answer.
Yeah, this is definitely an answer for
Seamus.
Yeah, Seamus, Spiros, or Anna. You're our front for this answer.
I'm happy to go first, even though it would be more poetic and philosophical and actually how things really are. And then we can go to some of the experts to see how we can fake it, right? So we can launch color into space like that without form to free color. But as I mentioned earlier, light is the connection between things. It's not the thing in itself, right? So to free color, and what is color, by the way? Color is a name humans gave to different wavelengths of electromagnetic waves. These are the things that carry that information, that connect things together, like electrons, to form matter and atoms and human life. So to free color, in my mind, is something that Maestro Diaz did all his life. It was his ability to create new relationships between people and between things that freed color from being stuck in particular relationships, right? That said, you all have to look the same way, you all look like this particular piece of matter or this particular wavelength of color. And the way he put all this stuff together, without realizing he had already figured out the answer. And indeed, quantum physics, right, the foundation of all of physics, tells you that there is an infinite way to put things together. Right? This is just like one particular way, but you have infinite choice to free color to do its thing and connect things in new ways.
Wow. Seamus, Anna, you want to add?
Yeah, maybe Seamus, well, maybe I can interpolate between Spiros and Seamus with respect to technicality. So I think one thing that I wanted to mention, for me, that the most impressive thing that I learned from talking with Carlos Cruz-Diez is how he managed to, kind of bypass many of the technical, learnings that we have as physicists, like as both Spiros and Seamus were talking about, like we have to learn a lot of math. And in some sense, it's similar to what Fabiana was saying, that there is like a part of, doing science, sometimes it's like doing art, and you have to learn through the process, and it's like very painful sometimes because there is a lot of technicalities. And yet he managed to just through intuition realize that color and matter do not necessarily belong together. And I thought that was, an amazing realization for somebody that is not a physicist. And so for me, what I learned from talking to him, like his obsession, from my perspective, what I understood is that he didn't like light or color to be kind of dominated by matter, but the other way around. And so one thing that I can mention that nowadays in like my daily job, I deal with this, and many times I remember this conversation, is that I work in quantum optics and in atomic physics. I'm a theorist, I don't do experiment, but now I collaborate with experimentalists that use holography, so light, to control and trap atoms. So single atoms in free space, you can grab them with light, basically, it's called optical tweezer, and you can move them around, put them wherever you want. And actually in the last year, people have even made up like Eiffel Towers, very tiny ones made of atoms. So it's a completely different paradigm, right, of like what light can do. And then it's not so much like matter controlling light, but light controlling matter. And then with respect maybe to like, holographic technology, maybe Seamus can answer this question better than I can.
Wow. So there is hope.
Always
You
hope.
just blow my mind, this the Eiffel Tower of atoms, and that just
Well,
wow.
I didn't do it, but yeah, I mean, I can show you the picture of, actually it was made in Paris, by the way. That's because the Eiffel Tower is a group in Paris that do optical tweezers. Yeah.
Seamus, what do you want to add to this conversation?
Well, the greatest technology is the technology you don't notice, right? I mean, we're having this whole meeting over video phones, and 20 years ago, that would have been science fiction, right? And so I think what Spyros said is absolutely correct. The way that color is finally freed is when we technology people do our job well enough that we can put the full control of everything into the hands of artists. That's how it becomes free. And, this is a thing that I saw with El Maestro. He had an understanding of color and what color means that we don't have. And I remember when I was in graduate school, it was a long time ago, but we did high energy physics with particle accelerators and tiny particles flying around. And we recorded them on film in these giant bubble chambers that were like giant glasses of beer with bubbles about to form. And the particles would fly through and bubbles would form along the track of the particle. And this is how we would see the invisible world, right? But there were people who weren't physicists, who were regular people, who would measure these tracks. They would sit at computer terminals and click a mouse along the track of these particles, okay? And they were called measuring ladies because usually they were like, 55 or 60-year-old women. And what happened was these measuring ladies developed a profound understanding of high energy physics, deeper in many ways than the physicists who employed them. They had an intuitive understanding of what was going on in the microscopic world because we had given them a tool that enabled their imagination to directly interface, not through mathematics, not through any of the artifice that we have, but directly to see what was going on, right? And geniuses, I think, like El Maestro, can do this without us helping them in any way. But if we help, if we deliver these tools to control all of this technology to people who understand really what the art is about, really what the experience is about, I think that's when it will finally be free. So I think that's our goal.
Wow. My God, it's some of the things you said is just like one of the, I'm going to just mention my relationship with the one work of art of the Maestro, which I saw in Avilés in the Centro Niemeyer, and I didn't even know who the artist was. I have to admit that I didn't know him, but there was something that, connected, me with that work of art. And what you're talking, I mean, like this, whenever, us get together and start talking about these things that are small and big and perception and everything, it just somehow it touches something in all of us that it is, I don't know, it's like you feel so fortunate of being human and being able to actually feel all those things and investigate and be able to connect all these dots. And, when you were talking about these women, I was just like, oh, it's great. It's like how, everybody matters and everything, somehow it's connected. And so profound. I have another question, and I let you go really soon. The question is, for the family members of the Maestro, was there a certain point or moment when you each decided you will continue the family artistry, or was it more of a given, a way of life, and therefore less of a choice, but a destiny? I'm going to ask you to be brief so we can take, I think, maybe one more question. Who wants to take the glove?
Maybe I can start. I don't know if someone's will want to answer, because all our experiences were different. But he never forced us to take care of his artwork. He actually always said, be whatever you want to be. He always, actually, it was kind of like a joke, because it was like, if you want to be a clown, go and be the best clown. He's like, I have no problem with that. So no, actually, he just transmitted his love for his art and his work to us. So it just honestly came naturally. Actually, most of the grandchildren, even though we all went through the workshop and started working at the workshop early, like sorting nails and cleaning a bit and helping on in little tasks, we all have degrees in different areas and had experience working elsewhere. And then we realized, working elsewhere, how rich the platform of the workshop was, and personally decided to go back and help out and work together, because at the end of the day, what my grandfather made with the workshop was a platform that we could transform in whatever we wanted to transform. If we wanted to continue with his artwork, work with other artists, do our own art, our own projects. So it's actually a very flexible platform. So each one of us found our place doing whatever we wanted to do.
And touching on that, but also going back a little bit on legacy and what's going on today. Adriana, you're the president of the Cruz Foundation. What are some of the activities that the foundation does and projects you have in mind?
Well, we created the foundation 15 years ago. It was an idea of Jorge also, thinking that always a foundation, we do it when the artist passed away, but there it was important to preserve a collection of artworks, of historical artworks that won't be lost in different generation, in heritage, but to be together, like that you can explain his path, his work. And my father wrote a book about his work, and he was very didactic, and he liked it to explain his work. And so the foundation has this part of we developed the learning lab, is where we have tools for teacher or for museum to explain his work. And the idea is to make the person discover the color in another way. He brought to us a lot of things about the world of color, and we really like to explain it and to make people discover that. I think that my father, as I say, one of my niece wanted always explain us how things functions and how they were designed, everything. He liked it to explain. And also when he had some assistant in his workshop, he made them always think out of the box. He said, take something that perhaps was designed for something, but think what other use it can be. He always wanted us to be more creative and more open-minded. And I just wanted to say another thing is that he had assistants that were young artists, but he always said to these young artists not to do the same work he was doing. To work with my dad, make them to have methodology, to explore other kind of materials and way to paint or do things. And he always said, you have to find your own path. To be here is just to have another way to work. in art, but you have to have your own path. So I like also what said the person here, is that he opened the mind of each one in his own way about this path.
I think he opened everybody's minds with his work. We have to wrap up. I mean, I don't know if you noticed, we've been around for more than an hour. I assure you that I could talk with all of you for hours and hours. The connection between art and science is one of the most beautiful, and we are so grateful for your time, for your passion, for your love, and for giving us free color, which is really a way of all of us get to know not only Carlos, but explore something that is so vital for all of us, which is color. I don't think, only people who cannot see color, maybe can say something about it, but a life without color, it probably will be very difficult. So in the name of the Film Society and Cine Latino at home, thank you, Fabiana, Mariana, Nascuy, David, Rafael, Ana, Gabriel, Adriana, Seamus, Gabriela, Alberto, Spyridon, and John for joining us today. It's been a pleasure, and I don't know if anybody. Maybe I'll give Alberto very last goodbye. We don't go when we finish the public broadcasting. Just stay one more minute. But Alberto, I'm gonna give it to you, since you are the director of Free Color, and you let's consider yourself the father of this creature. I give you the goodbye of this conversation.
Well, thank you again, and for allowed us to be here. And I think I reflect what we all here felt during this process, is that we were in front of this unique human being. And I would say what really moved all of us is to see a person who not only was doing something that was transforming history of art, it was this unique human being who taught us how you can transform your life into a work of art, which is very rare. It's a person who taught all of us that life can be a perfect and beautiful and shiny work of art. And that's what he taught us. And so thank you.
We'll leave with that. I just invite the people who are watching us. There are many more of these conversations lined up. Just in less than an hour, we're going to have one with Joshua Hill, the director of Sanctorum, and we have conversations Saturday, Sunday, Monday, all the way through the end of the festival. Thank you, everybody, again. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Cine Latino in Casa. We'll, like we say, see you at the movies. Thank you.